Welcome to Narrate Your Story TV. This is the show that we do every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's right, every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And I am your host, Dr. Christy Iwuchukwu, and I help emerging female entrepreneurs create high-converting workshop presentation that gets you more of your ideal clients. So today you are in for a treat, because if you ever thought that life is over for you, that you may not be able to accomplish that thing that you've always wanted to accomplish, I want you to stay tuned, because my guest today will help you know, find out, discover that you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. So who is my guest today? Well, my guest today is the World Civility Ambassador, Donald D. Toldson, Sr. He is a 2-time international best-selling author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, founder, and trainer at Speaking to Impact and Change. Don't Stop, Won't Stop, Global Show, and I Can Speak. Write and lead youth leadership program. He has a heart for motivating, encouraging, and inspiring others to conquer their fear by courageously sharing their unique voice, their story, and their expertise. Donald provides specialized speaker, writing, and leadership training for those who are ready to share their message with the world. Please help me welcome Donald D. Toldson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Christy. It is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on your amazing show.
Thank you so much. And yeah, so for those people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get here? How did you get to be so brilliant and so amazing, doing amazing work all over the globe? It's always, like I said, people see people when they have reached their pinnacle, but oftentimes it is the journey towards reaching their pinnacle is where we get the most lesson. So please help us understand how you got here.
Thank you, Dr. Christy. You know, that is a loaded question. You know, as I look back over my life, you know, I asked myself, you know, why speaking? You know, why did I come into this area? I never knew that I had a story on the inside of me until I started networking with several people. But it all started back in 2014. It's when I had a stuttering problem. You know, a lot of times people, they look at me now and they say, no, you never stuttered. I can't, you don't stutter. But the reason that I got into public speaking is because I wanted to overcome that. So I ended up searching out an organization called Toastmasters. I heard about it my whole life, but I never took on that, I never searched it out. So when I joined Toastmasters to overcome my stuttering, it not only helped me overcome my stuttering, but it began to bring so many other things outside of me, out of me that was on the inside of me. So I started networking with other people that was in the speaking industry, and I realized that I have a voice and I have a story. You know, it was the great Dr. Nelson Mandela who once said that there is no greater passion than settling for a life that is less than the one that you are more than capable of living. So when I decided that, hey, this is something that I feel that I'm gifted with, something that I have on the inside of me, but not only do I have it on the inside of me, I knew that I had a mandate to share my story with the world. And that's when I started seeking out Dr. Reuben West and Dr. Clyde Rivers and so many other, Mr. Les Brown and so many other amazing, Dr. Cheryl Wood, and the list goes on and on. So many amazing people that was doing what I was doing, well, what I wanted to do. And I heard a quote, it says that you must find someone who's doing what you want to do and on the level that you want to do it. And you have to search them out and you have to get within their network and their circle. People like Dr. Christy. So here I am.
Thank you so much. So as you are going through your journey and you are now teaching leadership. You are not teaching a lot of people on how to navigate whatever that is keeping them from moving forward in life. What are the three things that, or how many there are, however many there are, that you find that really are keeping people from moving forward? In other words, unlocking the prison cells of their mind.
Thank you for asking that question. You know, one of the biggest things that keeps people stagnated and stuck is called fear. Fear. You know, it was I heard that fear is false expectations appearing real. You know, fear, as Mr. Les Brown say, it is one of the most subtle and the most destructive forces of all human diseases. And you ask yourself why? Because fear, it kills people's dreams. It takes the energy away from them. It put people in the hospital. It keeps people from doing something that they knew that they were more than capable of doing. That four-letter word called fear. You know, it will keep you bound. And the second thing is that people, they need to recondition their minds. You know, a lot of times they don't realize that they heard something or something happened in their past, and that thing really, it kept them bound and they never knew why. And the third thing is a lot of times we have to unleash our undeniable impact. You know, that's the book that we just wrote with Dr. Cheryl Woods and Mr. Les Brown, Unleash Your Undeniable Impact. A lot of times we don't realize that we have a gift inside of us until we are challenged. You know, we might find ourselves in a tragic, a tragedy or something else that's going on in our life. And that tragedy, it is not put there to hold us bound, but it's put there to actually bring those giftings and those talents out of us. See, a lot of times if we don't come forward with it, then life will push it out of us. And we just hope that it's a good experience when life do push it out of us.
You know, as you are talking, I'm thinking about my own journey, because fear really, in a way, is the fear of the unknown. Oftentimes, we fear what we don't know. What could happen if I step out? What could happen if I say something and someone else judges me, or someone else doesn't understand what I'm saying? And in my own case, a language barrier happens to be one of my challenges, getting into stepping out to speak. But I know now that everyone has something to say, and everyone's story matters. And those who want to listen, they will pay attention and listen. And
Yes.
those who doesn't want to listen, really, they didn't need what you have. And everybody, I believe, your fingerprint is by design, not by choice. And there's someone for everybody. Everybody has a story inside of them waiting to come out. And I'm so thankful that you are able to go forward. Now, tell me, when people come to you, for example, you teach speaking, and you're also not teaching the adults, you're also involved in youth leadership. What
Yes.
are the things that they come to you for? There may be people that are listening to us right now, and they are wondering, oh, well, it's easy for him to say that. It's so easy for him to say that. He doesn't understand my story. He doesn't understand that I'm very shy. He doesn't understand that I have social anxiety and I can speak. What are the things that they come to you for?
You know, Dr. Christie, I'm glad you asked that question. You know, when you talk about fear, you know, we all have that fear of something, but understand this. We are all born with only two types of fears, and that's the fear of falling and the fear of noise. Everything else is a learned behavior. So a lot of times we have to discover what that learned behavior is, and we have to overcome that learned behavior. You know, there's been times when I have been on stage, and as I'm getting ready to go on stage, what happens is that the anxiety on the inside of me starts to build up, and you start thinking, and your mind start going blank. What if I forget this? What if I forget this? What if I get up there and I don't know what to say? Everyone is going to laugh at me. So the thing is that I have to find a quiet place. I have to find what works for me when I'm getting ready to go on stage. And this is what I teach not only the youth, but I teach adults, is that when you begin, first of all, you have to prepare yourself. That is one of the key things that you must do. You have to prepare yourself. When you have went over your presentations again and again and again, and when you think you have it, go over it again. Because what's going to happen is that when you get up on that stage, or when you get in front of people to present that presentation, what's going to happen is that as you're standing there, even if your mind go blank, you take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Always start off with a quote or either a joke. When you start off with something that's going to make you feel comfortable, then naturally everything else is just going to come to you. There's been, I'm famous for starting off with quotes. If it's a quote by Dr. Maya Angelou or the Dr. Nelson Mandela, or whatever famous person out there, I always start off with a quote, and that kind of breaks the ice for me. Or before I get on, I will listen to some comedy to actually start, to start laughing, to kind of ease my nerves. So when I come out there, and then people always say, "Why are you smiling?" Because when I smile, it brings a lot of energy. It brings everything out of me. It calms my nerves. And I tell people, "Oh, yeah, I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I wanted to say this." They'll say, "No way. We couldn't even tell that you were nervous." So I tell people to find their comfort zone, something that's going to calm their nerves. If it's taking a drink of water, or if it's thinking about something that's funny, or if it's, just thinking about something nice or a quote, find something that's going to calm your nerves. And then what's going to happen is that everything will begin to come back to you. Even if in the middle of your speech or your presentation, your mind goes blank, just take a pause. Just take a deep breath. And every single time that it has happened to me, it begins to flow because I prepared.
That is also one of my areas that I don't think there's any speaker that don't get nervous before you get to speak. It's just minding and learning how to get those butterflies to flow. And one of my things is breathing. I find that deep breathing, I don't know how it works, but it always works. When you're getting ready to get nervous, just deep breathing and out a couple of times before you get on the stage. It always works. It always works. But what do you think are the challenges of new speakers, people that are getting to speak? And it's not only platform speakers. If you're an entrepreneur and your product and services require you to speak, you are a speaker. So what are the challenges that you have found that they are going through or they are facing?
Dr. Christie, I think one of the biggest challenges is that they become so accustomed to reading versus learning their presentation. I know one of the biggest things that people do now, especially in a Zoom setting, what they do is that they have the camera on, but then they have their notes on, and people, they can't see the notes. But here's how I know that they're reading, is because when you're reading, you don't blink. Your eyes are kind of going across the screen. Mm-hmm. If you wear glasses like I do, you can see the paper in the glasses. So I think that people have to become comfortable in their own skin. They have to become comfortable again, putting their message to memory. See, when you put your message to memory, your character is going to come out in the midst of that present presentation. But if you're reading, it's so straightforward. There's no type of, you could tell when a person is reading. But if you commit that thing to memory, then it's going to flow. Now, one of the things that Mr. Les Brown says, he said that you have to listen to the listeners. So if you're on stage or if you're on Zoom and you're reading the comments, you have to listen to the listeners. You have to, especially if you're on stage, you have to look at the reaction of the audience to see how they're responding to the message. If they're not getting it, then you have to, in the midst of your presentation, you have to find some type of way to engage with the audience. If it's on Zoom, you have to engage with the audience by telling them, put this in the chat. You know, if you are a winner, then I want you to go ahead and type "I am a winner" in the chat. That way, you know that people are getting it. But the biggest challenge is not only fear. Now, fear is a big challenge, but the reason that they read from the paper as a speaker is because of that fear. They don't want to mess up. They're worried about how people are going to react, how people are going to judge them. So they put the paper up there as a comforter, should I say? You know, like in the Bible, you know, Jesus said, I will never leave you comfortless. You know, so they put those notes up there as a form of comfort. Now, the thing is that at some point they're going to have to break from those notes, and they're going to have to start preparing their message to give to the people, because someone is out there waiting to hear that message. But if you can't connect with them because of that fear, the fear of failure or the fear of messing up, so you really don't get into preparing yourself to commit your message to memory because of the fear of messing up and how people are going to judge you.
You know, you are so right. And we're talking about the fear, especially if you are an emerging speaker, getting to speak for the very first time, or haven't been speaking for a while, or haven't even been speaking at all. For me, I still remember the very first video I put out. But can I just tell you, that video is actually the reason I'm sitting here talking to you. I remember the very first video that I put out. Oh my God. First of all, it took me weeks, days to do that, pre-record that video. It wasn't live now. It was pre-recorded video. And I would do it over and over and over again. I will ask my coach, does that look good? And then the coach is saying, that looks good. And in my mind, no, you're just saying that. I know it doesn't look good. You're just saying that. But what really scared the hell out of me was, am I going to be getting negative comments? Yes. Are people going to be laughing at me? Would they understand what I was saying? And guess what? And I remember clearly, one night I decided I had to do it when nobody was I forgot putting it. The whole world is seeing it. It doesn't really matter what time, right? And all night I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep because in my mind, oh my God, what if somebody commented? What if? And every now and then I'll go check in and nobody did it, commented it, right? It went on, but can I just tell you, that video saved me. That imperfect video is the reason that I'm able to talk to other imperfect people just like me. That video saved my life. And in that video, I was, oh my God, I crammed it to the T. Did you hear me? I crammed it to the T. I didn't want to mess up at all. And in a way, I felt like somebody is hitting me on the head. I mean, every now and then when I find that video, I cracked. Oh my God. But no, what you were saying is really true. The fear is huge. But I tell people, just do it anyway.
Yes.
Just do it anyway. The only way to get something started is to get something started. Get that thing started. And in doing it, you're going to get better. You cannot get better by thinking about it. You cannot get better even when you are practicing your speech, your talk, right? Yes. Get out there and do it. Get out there and you're going to get feedback from other people. And I say even the bad feedback is still a feedback because it lets you know what not to do next time, right?
Yes, yes.
The bad feedback is still a feedback. And oftentimes people worry about, and I get it. That's why when I coach other people, I understand where they are coming from. Having been through that, it helps me understand what they are going through and how to help them navigate that. And when they first come into coaching, it's like, They are fighting. They don't want to do it. They don't want it. And once they get a hang of it, they go, oh my God, I can actually get there. I don't have to, I don't have to dress up like I'm in the office. Thanks to pandemic, you can do top and nobody sees you and you get on the camera, right?
That's it.
And so absolutely the fear is the number one thing that is holding people hostage.
Yes.
I say hostage because it's so hard. Unless you make a conscious effort to say enough is enough. You have to get it in your system to say enough is enough. Because you can, I have had people, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it months after months. Even year will pass by, they still haven't started because they fear if I'm going to get it right. And sometimes I've learned that people really don't care. When you make mistakes, and I laugh at myself when I'm doing videos and doing shows, and I laugh at myself, people want to see somebody who looks like them.
That's right.
People want to see somebody who makes mistakes just like,
yes,
oh, okay, here you go, whatever, right? But the content is there, and that's what really matters. That we're not looking, people are not really looking for statue or looking for perfection. People just want to see people like them.
Yes.
Actually, you give them the permission to go ahead and do it. But everything is perfect. I don't need you. If you're gonna be so perfect that I can't see myself in you, I don't need that. And when you were talking about presentation speech. It is so, sometimes, especially in this pandemic, everybody's online. You see people they are speaking for an hour. And I kid you not, I've been there where people were speaking, and for the entire hour, they are reading.
Yes.
They are reading. And I'm saying, like, is it really because of fear, or is it really because they want to get everything right? And I said, well, give me a handout. Why don't you hand me the handout and I'll read it at my own time, anytime I want to, rather than sitting here and have you read. And sometimes in person, you see people standing there like a statue. Listen, it's challenging. It can be challenging, but I think the number one thing, people, if you're listening to us right now, the number one thing that helped me in this speaking industry is really let the ego go. It's all about the ego.
Yes.
It's all about the ego. And ego, in a way, is good because it's self-preservation. But somehow, some way, you have to release.
Yes.
You have to let it go. You have to release it and just let it go and know that everything is going to be all right.
Yes, yes. Dr. Christie, the thing is that a lot of times the reason that we don't get started is because of that fear. We've been talking about that fear, but we're going to get into talking about being a winner also too. But the reason that people, they don't get started is simply because of that fear. They think that I'm not going to get started until everything is perfect. I'm not going to get started until I feel comfortable, until everything is right. It was Mr. Zig Ziglar who once said that you don't have to be great to get started, but that you must get started in order to be great. A lot of times, I don't want to get started because I don't have my speech down yet, or I don't, I don't have this right. This isn't perfect. That isn't perfect. Well, if you waited till everything was perfect, then guess what? You would never get started. Now, the thing is that sometimes you have to mess up. Sometimes you have to mess up, because in the messing up, that's where growth takes place. You have to be willing to take that risk. I heard one great speaker put it this way. He said that if you're not willing to risk, then you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, then you cannot do your best. And if you cannot do your best, then you cannot be happy. And if you cannot be happy, then what else is there? What is your reason why for doing what you want to, to do? And if you're not willing to prepare yourself and to get ready to put yourself out there to the world, because believe me, the world are waiting to listen and to hear your story. Why? Because just like you said, Dr. Christie, they think that, I see them on camera, they're perfect. Everything that they're saying is perfect, but that comes through preparation. We have messed up. You know, being in Toastmasters, you know, my mentor would not let me get up there with a piece of paper. He said, no, Donald, you're a speaker. You need to learn this speech. When you learn it, then you come out there and you give it. But I'm not going to let you get up there and read it, because then you are handicapping yourself and you cannot grow.
And you know, talk about speaking without, and there's nothing wrong with speaking with notes.
No.
But I'll tell you, the first I have a lot of stories before I got here. I remember speaking at one time. I have written, crossed my T and dot my I's, right? Everything was perfect. I've written my speech. It was time. I have left this thing at home. And now it was time. I fumbled over to find it. I couldn't find it. Now what do? I had no choice but to get up. My heart was pounding.
Oh, yes.
But that deep breathing really works.
Yes, it does.
What I did was I went out and spoke. And guess what? People don't know that you made a mistake unless you bring it to their attention.
Yes.
People don't know that you made any mistake until you bring it to their attention. That's exactly what I did that day. And after that day, I still have a note, but not to be written line by line. Because what I was doing initially was reading, looking up, read and look up. Read and look up. And
Yes.
what are you doing? By doing that, you're disengaging your audience.
Yes.
Because that becomes a barrier between you and the audience. And anytime that you have a barrier between you and audience, you lose the audience attention. Yes. Right? And but I totally understand. And now when I help female in narrating their story, because they are narrating their story because they're going to speak. Yes. And in doing so, one of the challenges is I have to write it out. And once I show them that you don't really have to just write it out, you have to find the key things to talk about, whether you're using image or words that will remind you of what to say. Now, everything is just easy. So go ahead.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because, you know, a lot of, you know, the thing is that you have a story. Everyone has a story, and the world, they need to hear your story. You know, what Dr. Maya Angelou once said, she said that the late great Dr. Maya Angelou, a great poet, she said that there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story on the inside of you. We all have a story. And the question we have to ask ourselves is this: what untold story that is bearing on the inside of you, that has given you the power and the strength to overcome that adversity? Your adversity might be the fear of speaking. Your adversity might be the fear of starting that business. Your adversity might be the fear of writing that new book. You know, a lot of us, we have that we have the gift to start multiple businesses, but we allow that fear of failure to outweigh our desire to succeed. So that business never gets started. Or we have that ability to write multiple books, but because we have listened to our own negative inner conversation and we listen to other people around us, guess what we do? We never step forward and write that book. But when we get to the point when we begin to declare that we are a winner and that I don't care, come hell or high water, that I am going to get my message out there and I'm not going to let fear hold me back, then what take place is that we make a conscious mindset. We make it our will, the will of the people. There's nothing like the will of the people. And when you begin to make up in your mind and unlock the prisons that are in your mind, when you do that, what takes place is that you say, I don't care how many times I mess up. If I mess up and mess up and mess up and mess up, I'm going to keep moving forward, because in that moving forward is where growth is going to take place.
Absolutely. You said it so well. So now that's going to lead me into my next question for you, to really share with us, what do you mean by being a winner? You are a winner.
You are a winner. You know, as I stated earlier, I don't care what situation, trial, or circumstances that you have been through in this thing that we call life. You are a winner. Don't think that you're not going to face any challenges or any type of 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 situations. You are still a winner. You know, I was sharing with others, you know, about this young lady who was very dear to my heart. You know, she was going through a tough time in her life. You know, she was my daughter. I hope she's not watching because she's going to get me for telling this story. But she was sentenced to 1 year in federal prison because she made a mistake. By listening to someone that she believed to be a trusted friend. You know, we kept warning her, don't listen, don't listen. But she listened to them, and she found herself doing some unethical things in business, which landed her 1 year in federal prison. And I had a chance to go and visit with her, and I listened to her, and it broke my heart. I listened to her as she cried out in frustration and desperation. And she said, Dad, she said, I can't take it. I can't take this. You know, how am I going to get through this? And I, being a father, I'm in tears, she in tears. And I said, the Lord himself will go before you. He will never leave you, nor will he forsake you. Now, as I was sitting there and I was talking to my daughter, you know, I realized something that I was talking to myself, because I realized that I too had made a mistake by listening to someone that told me that my dreams and my goals was nothing more than an expensive hobby. And they told me to just give up. Give up is what they told me. And I became stuck in that situation because I was listening to them as they told me to give up. And one day, show you how God works things out. One day I was riding in the car with some friends, and you know, we were going to listen, you know, to visit some family members. And I get in the car and they listening to none other than the GOAT himself, Mr. Les Brown. I'm like, can you turn it off? But I wanted them to turn it off, but I couldn't tell them to turn it off because it was their car. So I was forced to sit there and to listen. And Mr. Les Brown, he said these words. He said that I choose not to be a common man. He said that it is my right to be uncommon if I can. He said that I seek opportunities and not security. He said that I do not wish to just be a kept citizen, humble and dull by having the state look after me. No. He said that I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. He said that I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, to the thrill of fulfillment, to the stale calm of utopia. He said that I will never cower before any master, nor will I bend to any threat. He said that it is my heritage and my privilege to stand proud and erect and say boldly before God that with God's help, this I have done. And when I began to believe that, I became excited. And I declared on that day that I am a winner and that there was no excuse about it that would be accepted. I decided to move forward, Dr. Christie, and I became so excited. Now, my daughter, when she finished doing that part of her life, because, you know, we don't even like to talk about it. When she went through that challenge in her life, she came out with a fire and a desire like I have never seen. And she declared that she would never be denied again. And that's when she unleashed her undeniable impact upon humanity, and she rebuilt that business. And now that business is going strong, but it was a learning lesson that she had to go through. Never allow someone else to hold the pen that writes the script to your life. Dr. Christie.
Wow, that's a loaded response. But you know, as you are talking, and I think you said something to that regard earlier when you were talking. That is that our greatness comes from something we didn't like.
Yes.
Our greatness comes from that thing that perhaps we went through. We went through it so that we can grow through it.
Yes.
But when you are going through it, it wasn't funny.
Oh, no.
It was not funny. But when you emerge and have learned from it, and that's why I said that adversity is not so much what happened, it's did you learn a lesson from that adversity? And how can you share with someone else who are going through the same adversity and trying to get to the other side? And it's
Yes.
because, and oftentimes I think that God puts you at a place at the right time,
Mm.
searching and searching and searching and not knowing, but He knows the right thing for you.
Oh,
And
yes.
He puts you at the right place. When you were listening to that music, you needed to hear that music. You didn't plan to hear that music. The talk from Les Brown. And
Yes.
that's exactly what you needed to hear. And most of the time, they may be talking to you and it hurts because you
Mhm.
don't want to hear it. Because that's exactly what you needed to do, but you don't want to do it. And therefore, you don't want to listen.
That's
But
right.
I'm saying this because I've been through it myself, right?
Oh, yes.
Sometimes I could be listening to somebody, a speaker, and they're talking about what I needed to hear, but didn't want to hear it because it hurts.
Yes.
Again, it's self-image. It's the ego. It's the ego. We didn't want to admit it, but that's what we needed at that particular time.
Yes.
So tell me, in working with these women, let's go back to the youth
Hmm.
because you work with men and women and the
Hmm.
youth. But let's talk about the youth. What are the challenges that you see in working with the youth?
You know, Dr. Christie, one of the biggest challenges that I see working with the youth is for them having a lack of uh, of confidence.
Mm,
You know, we live in a society whereas that everything is visual, or it's what they hear, it's what they see and what they hear. A lot of the times when they're looking at videos or they're looking at video games, or these big stars, rappers, or either whatever type of genre of music that they're listening to, they're getting a false sense of what is real. They see cars and they see the houses and they see all these other things, and that is what they want to be like. That's their idol, what they listen to, what they're feeding their spirit. So we have to change that narrative. We have to change their narrative about who they are, what whose they are, you know where they're going in life. We have to be able to change that narrative. So in my program, I can speak, write, and lead youth training program. What it does is that we let them know that they have a mind and that they have a voice. So we teach them different narratives, and I kind of pattern it after the youth leadership program at Toastmasters. We show them about gestures, and we help them to formulate their speech with a opening, a body, and a close, and then we give them a platform in order to share that gift. Yeah, they're going to mess up, just like everyone else. Fear. They're going to mess up. They're going to be scared. But if we attack that at a very young age, what happens is that they grow into it. When their peers are just doing the same old, and doing what they see and hear, but yet you're, as a youth in the program, you're being a standout, and you are able to write your speech, speak what's on your mind, and then be able to bring it to the world. Speaking, writing, I asked them, I said, so tell me, how did you like that book that you just read? Oh, well, Mr. Don, blah, blah, blah. No, I want you to write it, because there's going to be growth in your writing. I want you to write like you speak. And then we have the program set up in a leadership style. I'm just a coordinator, just like the youth training program, but they are running the program. They are the ones that's the president, the sergeant at arms, just like the
mhm.
youth leadership program. So they're doing the thing. So they're building those leadership skills, because one of the things we have to realize that they are 100% of our future. 100% of our future. So they are going to be the future senators, the presidents, the kings, the diplomats, the leaders of tomorrow. So we have to train them now.
Wow. That's you know, I had an opportunity a few years ago to go to a prison and train women. It's a female prison. I won't mention the name. But anyway, I had an opportunity to go there and train those that are coming out. They are within 1 year of being released. And I tell you, it was an eye-opener because I felt like sometimes some of them have been forgotten. But what I saw was life. What I saw was no life. And what I saw was life afterwards. When we came in, at first, it's hard to get to them, if you know what I mean. It's hard to reach their heart. But as we begin to talk to them as humans, to let them validate that they're just like anybody else, like you put it so well, they've made a mistake.
Yes.
That doesn't determine the end of their life. And most of them, you are young, 18 years, 20 years, so they still have a lot of life ahead of them. As we began the program, like 2-3 weeks into the program, as they began to tell their story, narrate their story in their own words, with our training, they became a different person altogether. They will come every week, tell us what they want to do. They will write their own. Like, it's amazing when you begin to give people information and resources that will help them from that adversity to somewhere else they never imagined that they could go.
Oh, yes.
So I can definitely relate when you were talking talking about the youth leadership, because it's amazing to see what these youth do at the end of the pride, how proud they are of themselves. Oh my God. I mean, their chest open. I'm telling you, confidence. Woo! We can wear it as clothes. And it's amazing what it can do to somebody to be able to move ahead, the confidence.
Yes.
So tell me then, when you finish with the youth, where do they go from there?
When we finish with the youth, and it's something that I'm working on also too, because they have to have an outlet after that program. A lot of times, you know, they come out with such a great roar of confidence. A lot of times they go into their schools and they become the school president of their their grade level. You know, during the summer months, the teacher asked them, "So what did you do during the summer?" "Oh, I wrote a book." They're able to share that book, you know, with their friends and their colleagues and their peers. What has happened is that seed has been planted in order for them to move forward. You know, there's an old saying: is the apple in the seed, or is the seed in the apple? So we have to determine you know, our viewpoint of it. So that seed has been planted in order for them to go into any area of life that they choose to. Because when they have that confidence, and we put them into the school systems, and they go and they branch out from there. A lot of times the parents, they have to take that and they have to grow with it. Now, if they're of age, I always encourage them to sign up for Toastmasters as soon as you're eligible, which you have to be 18 years of age, or find a gavel club, where they can branch off from there and they can go into a gavel club in order to use that skill and that talent that they have learned. Now, one of my goals is to actually, and I'm still working on it because it's, we're always a work in progress, but I want to start putting on conferences for our youth where they can go on stage and start traveling and start going different places and showing their gifts and their talents and those things that they have learned, because we can't just teach them and then just drop them. They have to be mentored, and they have to, just keep going. Now, I do stay in contact with them. I always advise them to, hey, log on. I want you to teach, you know, about gestures. I want you to teach about how to format your presentation. I want you to be a mentor for those that are currently in the program now. So I just don't want to teach and drop, but I want to be able to lift and grow, you know, as they grow, because I'm constantly learning also too from them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that and as they grow, they're giving back, and
Yes.
that's helping mentor other people, and it really gives them a sense of that I am somebody.
Yes.
I'm what, not just learning, but I'm putting what I learned into something. And when you help somebody, I don't know about everybody else, but I feel good when I'm able to help somebody else.
Yes.
And so as we come to the close, our viewers, please don't forget to leave your comments, and we will make sure that we get your comments. Drop your comments for myself or for our guest, Donald D. Toldson.
Thank you.
As I help female in narrating their story, whether they are giving a workshop, whether they have an initiative that they want to go and speak, whatever they want to do with their speaking. And one of the challenges really I see is people not believing in themselves. And I can relate myself, because there was a time that I didn't believe that I have anything worth saying. There was a time that I didn't believe that I can, even this program that we're doing. I remember the first time it was under a different name, Christy Uchukwu's Brilliance TV show. And I can tell you that for a couple of months, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Why? Because all that was going through my mind is, who's going to come to my show? What if I tell them nobody comes? What if, until finally, you will not believe it. Finally, I called up one of my girlfriends and I said, what are you doing? And she said, nothing. What do you have in your mind? I said, no, don't worry. Get dressed. And she got, now think about it now, and I'm laughing, but I did say to her, can you just get dressed, put your makeup on, dress up? She go, what are you talking about? She said, dear friend, and she didn't mind. She said, can you come to the Zoom? And she said, what are we doing on Zoom? I said, never mind, just come to the Zoom. She got to the Zoom. I said, you know how to do this thing, figure this thing out? We couldn't figure it out. And we couldn't do it that day. The next day, she came, can you tell me? I said, don't worry, let's figure it out. So after we figured it out, I said, you're my first guest.
Oh, yeah.
When I think about that, I was just laughing. I said, first guest for what? I said, you're my first guest for my TV show.
That's it.
Believe me, that's how I started.
Mm.
And after that, the fear went away. And
Yes.
I'm yet to have somebody to say, no, I can't come to your show. Right?
Oh,
and
yes.
what am I saying is that everyone has a story. And for me, I believe every woman has an institution inside of her. But being a woman, oftentimes, and if you can hear me, hear this, we are the ones that are holding ourselves hostage.
Yes.
Because of what the society, the environment has taught us. And as we grow up, and that's why I love the fact that you're helping the youth, because they have not been conditioned yet. But throughout life, throughout our journey, we have been conditioned. And all of a sudden, you start putting on this hat of having lack of confidence, not having confidence in yourself. And when I help these women go from here to there, it's amazing what they can do. To be able to narrate your story in your own voice, to voice activate, it's amazing. It's almost like they're different people all together. And so if you are watching us right now, I want you to know that there is nothing you set your mind into that you cannot do. All you need to do is find the person that can help you. Find someone that can help you. And I'm not saying having those freebies that we have, they're necessary, right? But there comes a time where having somebody who has worked through where you want to go can fasten the journey for you. And that's what both my guests and I have been able to do.
Yes.
And so I just want to take the time and thank you, our viewers. Again, don't forget to leave your comments, and we are going to come back and respond to your comments. And for those of you who have already purchased the Almanac of Rising Star, my new book, thank you for all your support. I'm going to put a link, and you can go ahead and purchase the the book. And we are coming to an end. I'm also going to put other links, the links to schedule for a 20 minutes conversation to see how I can help you in narrating your story as well. So before we close, I want to give the floor to our guest. Please go ahead and share the final words.
Thank you. I was just laughing as my secretary was coming in. But look, though, I love what you said when you said about stories. Life is a continuation of stories until we die. But what I love to tell people is that this: eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of man the things which God has prepared for those that love him. You have a story. Dr. Christie has a story. We all have a story, and the world is waiting to hear your story. But look, again, thank you, Dr. Christie. For those who want to get in contact with me, just reach out on my website, www.donaldtolson.com, and reach out to me, and let's have some fun. Thank you, Dr. Christie. This has been an amazing show. I will be tuning in, in the future, because I'm hooked now. I'm hooked.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time, and we'll be talking soon. Take care, and thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much.